4 starts for 2 wins, a second and third. Emily? Yep. Oh, that's a problem. So are we back? Can you guys hear me? Okay. There's a little bit of an echo for me. Okay. So what did you guys hear? Did you hear me talk about Hail to the Leader? Okay, righto. So I'll go back to Hail to the Leader. The number 1 post position is Hail to the Leader. She's a chestnut filly by Good Omen out of Fond of the People. She was a $1.5 million trial by summer yearling auction purchase. She had 4 starts for 2 wins, a second and third. She took a little while to break a maiden, but she did that in week 12, and now in week 14 she won the 6 Perfection Stakes, which is always a good race. She won that with an 85, so she's coming into form at the right time. The number 2 post position has Star Headlines in it. Owned by Ellie Hedgestone and bred by Walter Hill, who I don't think I've ever heard of, but this is an undefeated filly. She won the Good of the People Grade 3 stakes last out with an 81 speed figure, so you can't dismiss an undefeated horse. She's by Guineasaurus Rex out of Palculate. The number 3 is Born of War, owned by Glenn Larson. She's a Dark Bay filly by Warlock out of the Lanarkshire mare Gaelic. She was bred by the Steward and sold for $1.8 million at the 2-year-old trial by summer sale. She's had 4 starts for 2 wins, a second and a third. She won last out in the Stewards Cup Turf Trial and was second in the other Stewards Cup Turf Trial. There's one in week 11 and one in week 14. So she won the week 14 one and was second to Dream Darkness in the week 11 one. Next up is Precious, and she's my pick in this race. She's owned by Carolyn Eaton and bred by the Steward. She was a $1.4 million trial by summer yearling purchase. She's by Dark Heart out of Tranquility, who was by 7 Keys. She's undefeated in 3 starts, and she comes from a win in the Winter Mile Grade 1 with a 90 speed figure. She won by 4.5. That's a very good win. The shipping shouldn't be a problem coming off week 13, so she is my pick. Next up, we have my other favourite, who is Festive, owned by Chris Bobby, who is one of the nicest people in the game. Seriously, you've never met a nice person. Festive is a chestnut filly by Rillian out of Shisa, who is by Line of Sinet. She is undefeated in 4 starts. She won the Grass is Greener Grade 3 last out in week 14. So she's an impressive filly. Hasn't had massive speed figures, but, you know, she likes to lead, so she could get it done here. Next up, we have the Bill Outsilver owned and bred Minnie's Way, who's by Mickey out of Parkway. She has had 3 starts for 2 wins and a third. Her third was in 6 Perfections Grade 3 last out. Hail to the Leader won that race. That was in week 14. But before that, she had won the Redwood Tree Juvenile Filly Grade 3 race back in week 12. In the number 7, we have the Tamara Estes owned and bred Great Alexandria. She's by Alexander out of Pushed Out to Sea. She's had 4 starts for 3 wins and a second. And last out, she was second in the Grass is Greener, beaten by Festive. We're running out of time, so sorry to rush through the last 2. In the number 8 position, we have Sound the Trumpets. She's Steward bred. Ashley Gibson paid $4.5 million for her. She's by Legionnaire out of Spectacular Sound. Oh, I know that name. I raced that horse. Okay, sorry, I got all excited. Last out, she won the Test My Heart Stakes. She's had 4 starts for 3 wins and a third. The third was in week 11. And last up, we have the Tammy Stawicki owned Dream Darkness. She's a Bay filly, Steward bred on a lease deal, by Dark Heart out of Sleep Close Your Eyes, who's by Legionnaire. She's had 4 starts for 3 wins and a second. Last out, she was second in the Stewards Cup Turf Trial to Born of War, but before that was undefeated. And back to you, Emily. I think I got it in time.
Okay, I think we got everything working now. I pasted the new link to the YouTube into the chat code, but I missed that there was a little negative sign at the front of it, so whoops. Anyway, we should be back. Reload if you can't hear us. Okay, so next up we have the first 2-turn race, the Juvenile Fillies Turf. This used to be the only long-ish grass race that we ran this day before we added the Bunbury and the Bunbarrett. Now it is a race that is mostly relegated for milers. We got a field of 9 of them, and it's post time. They're off. Star Headline stumbled at the start, and Sound the Trumpets was away slowly as well. Precious, however, is going to be the early leader and goes off to take them into that short run to the first turn. Precious ahead of Minnie's Way. Star's Headlines rushed up, joined by Festive, then Great Alexandria. Hail to the leader, Dream Darkness, Born of War, and Sound the Trumpets is the early trailer. So Precious is going to wing them up the backstretch. She's leading by 4, now 5 lengths. Star Headlines up in a second. Minnie's Way sits third with Festive fourth. Then comes Great Alexandria, and the rest of the field is packed close together. Dream Darkness, Hail to the leader, Born of War, and Sound the Trumpets is still the trailer. So Precious has run half the race and leads by about 6 lengths. And whoa, look at the run from Dream Darkness. Dream Darkness from 6th all the way up into 2nd and coming on. Minnie's Way, Festive, Great Alexandria, and Star Headlines, then Hail to the leader. And Sound the Trumpets has passed 1 horse, that is Born of War. They're into the stretch. Dream Darkness has dead aim on Precious, and those 2 have kicked away. Minnie's Way back 3rd and Festive, but it's Dream Darkness who takes the lead now. Precious has something left in the tank. She battles back. Dream Darkness and Precious. Minnie's Way 3rd. Dream Darkness on the outside, and Precious. Dream Darkness gets her head down in time. Dream Darkness wins over Precious, then Minnie's Way, Festive, and Sound the Trumpets was 5th. The official winner is Dream Darkness. She's a 2-year-old bay filly by Dark Heart out of Sleep, Close Your Eyes by Legionnaire. She was bred by the steward, who definitely didn't know this horse existed until this morning, and is owned by Tammy Stawicki. She is now 4 for 5, and this is actually an allowance galloper, so that's something, if you care about that kind of thing. Next up, we have the Juvenile Turf. And it's a field of 6, the smallest field of the day. So Cleo will get a bit of a break after she talks about them.
So I have to really congratulate Tammy on that win. That's her 6th Steward Cup win. And she's done it with an allowance galloper from post 9 of 9, coming off a defeat in the horse's last start. So I'm pretty impressed. And Precious had the perfect draw and everything her way, and I thought she was going to win that. So, yeah, well done, Tammy. That was a super effort. And a nice horse. Okay, I lost the race. Whoops. So now we've got the juvenile turf. So we've got the colts going over a mile. And we'll start up with another Tammy Stoicky horse, Red Ferns. He is a Steward bred colt. Tammy paid $2 million for him in the Trial by Summer yearling auctions. He is undefeated in 3 starts. Last out, he won the Swordbearer Stakes, which is a grade 3 race. He won that with an 89. And the horse he defeated is also in this race. So in the Red Ferns is by Old Dan out of Westwood Sunset. Did I race that horse as well? I feel like I did. Oh no, I had a mother or something. I don't know. I recognise the horse. It's been a long time since I had milers. Okay, so in the number 2 hole we have Creed, and Creed is owned by Bob Green. He is a $850,000 Trial by Summer yearling auction, so that is cheap by today's standards. I've lost. Okay. He is undefeated in 4 starts because apparently everything is undefeated. He's tied by Do No Harm out of the Aeohippus mare Frozen Moment. He won with an 84 last out in the Benjamin Franklin Group 3 in week 13. He has been known to lead and win, but he also can get back a bit and come home. Next up, are all of these bred by... Yes, every horse in this race is bred by the Steward, so I'm just not going to say that anymore. So in the number 3 post position, we have Sir Isaac Newton. He is owned by Regina Moore, who paid $4.5 million in the Trial by Summer yearling auction for him. He's by Declaration of War out of This Woman's Work, who's by Aeohippus. So Isaac Newton has had 4 starts for 3 wins and a second. His only defeat was way back in week 9, and the horse who defeated him and Be a Doctor is in this race as well. But since then, he has won 2 Game Point side stakes races with 87 speed figures. So he can win. He knows how. In the number 4 post hole, if I was still racing milers, I would have bought this horse purely because of his name. He's called And Be a Doctor. He was $2.1 million Trial by Summer yearling purchase. He's a black colt owned by Sten Reno Huckison. He is undefeated in 4 starts. He had a career best 89 in his last start in the Prix Jean-Luc Picard Group 1 in France. This will be his first start in America, so he's shipping over on a 9, 12, 14 turnaround, but he's pretty classy horse. He won his last race by 3 lengths, so he likes to be up the front. So look for him to be setting the pace. The number 5 horse is Lead the Crowd. Steph Lonro purchased this horse for $1.25 million. He has had 4 starts for 3 wins and a second. He's by the real-life horse Casino Prince, who was a pretty impressive horse, out of Bless the Crowd, who was the King of the People man. Last out, he was second in the Swordbearer Stakes, beaten by Red Ferns, who's in the number 1 post hole today. But before that was undefeated. He had an 88 speed figure in the Canadian Summer Stakes. I always like to see Steph winning Canadian races. I don't know. Am I taking a long time to talk? Sorry, I'm talking to M. If you can't hear M, I'm talking to M. And number 6 is Steel Slayer. He's owned by Laura Ferguson, who paid nearly $4.8 million for him. He's by Shatterdome out of the world over, who was a worldwide fame mare. He is undefeated in 4 starts. Last out in week 14, he won the Other Side Stakes, which is a Group 3. He's coming in off a 7, 10, 12, 14 preparation, but Laura Ferguson knows what she's doing. So it's only the post-position which is a problem for this horse. And I'll hand it back to you, Emily.
Thank you. Field of 6 going a mile on the grass. The betting pool closes at a paltry / ridiculous $100. Come on, guys. We gave you a pick 4. This race is consisted entirely of Steward breds, which makes me laugh because I would never have guessed that turf miler breeding was my forte. But with the help of turf miling expert Rebecca Rose Hepburn, I've been making a go at it. They're off. Red Ferns was 1 step slow, but the rest were away very well. Steel Slayer is going to be the one hustled to the front and quickly joined by And Be a Doctor. Creed is right there too. Lead the Crowd is going to be taken back 4th. Red Ferns will sit 5th of the field of 6 with Sir Isaac Newton, the early trailer. So they come off that first turn into the backstretch, and Steel Slayer is the leader. He's on a loose hold leading by 2. And Be a Doctor sitting second alongside Creed in third, who has 3 lengths on Lead the Crowd. Lead the Crowd all alone out there in 4th, 3 lengths ahead of Red Ferns, and Sir Isaac Newton is the trailer. They go into the far turn with half the race left to go, and Steel Slayer, he's leading by almost 4 lengths. No challenge early for Steel Slayer. And Be a Doctor still second, chasing with Creed third. Red Ferns is the one passing Lead the Crowd and trying to make up ground. Sir Isaac Newton not doing enough. They're coming to the top of the stretch, and Steel Slayer is leading by 4. The pace is fast, and he's only got a quarter mile to go. And Be a Doctor can't run him down. Creed is trying to, and Red Ferns. Sir Isaac Newton passes Lead the Crowd, but Steel Slayer is in a runaway tour de force. Steel Slayer, he's going to win this by at least 5. And Be a Doctor will have to be second with Creed third. Steel Slayer, he is just off the world record today. Steel Slayer in 1:33.77, and Be a Doctor second, then Creed was third. The official winner is Steel Slayer. He's a 2-year-old gray colt by Shatterdome out of the world over by worldwide fame. He's owned by Laura Ferguson and was bred by the Steward, not shockingly since every horse in this race was. He is unbeaten in 5 starts. And I bet you one day he'll have a really good headshot. Hey, her birthday's in like 3 days. Nina, get on that. Next up is what comes next? Debutante, a mile on the dirt. For girls, there's a field of 7, and we've got 7 minutes to talk about them. Here's Cleo.
So, Laura Ferguson, that was her 31st Stewards Cup, if I was counting right. It's kind of hard to count those trophies. So that's very impressive. Okay, so in the number 1 post position for the debutante, we have Oakland. Oakland is owned and bred by Chris Bobby, who is pretty awesome at breeding dirt milers. She's a black filly by Touchdown Raiders out of Best Dreams, who was by Just Victory. She is undefeated in 4 starts. Last out, she won the Golden Leaf Stakes, which is Group 1, Grade 1. Sorry, I keep doing it. Before that, she won the Chicago Lassie with an 89 speed figure. So she likes to be in midfield, so we'll see how the post position does for her. In the number 2 post position is the first Scott Island horse I've seen today. Her name is Tabitha, and she is a Steward bred on a lease deal. She's by Justin Act out of, I can't even pronounce it, a Burning Beast mare. I can't pronounce her name. Sorry, Scott. She has had 3 starts for 2 wins and a second. She was second in her last race, the Long Island Matron, beaten by Ms. Pretty, but if you go back a few races, we had Tammy's horse was beaten in its most recent start too. So they can do it. They can win a Stewards Cup off a second place. Before that, she had an 88 win in the One for the Ages Stakes. Right, so now we have the Kathy Morris owned and bred Call It Magic, which I think is a Coldplay reference. She's by Fargo out of she is by Fargo out of Lucasta, who's a Grindelwald filly, and that's very timely because Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was a really cool movie. She has had 3 starts for 2 wins and 1 off the board finish. She was off the board in the Henderson debutante in week 11, but bounced back to win the Kentucky Crown Juvenile fillies in week 13, which is always a very good race because it's a preparation for this race. So she likes to be somewhere in the mid-pack to the back of the field. So now we have, in the number 4 post position, we have Goodnight Moon, who's owned by Laura Ferguson and bred by the Steward. I assume this one's going back to M. She is by Reverend Jamison out of August Moon, who was by Chief. She's had 3 starts for 2 wins and a second. The second was last out to Dubai Touchdown in the Long Island Futurity. I think that's a boys' race. So if it is, that's pretty good. Yeah. So she was second in a boys' race. So that's, yeah. Don't think she's going to get beaten here just because she got beaten by the boys last out. That's hard for a 2-year-old filly. Before that, she ran an 89 in the graduation year Grade 3 stakes. She likes to lead. Number 5 is Ms. Pretty, owned by Eugene Ferguson. She's a bay filly by California Comb out of Ms. Thing, who is by Millionaire's Son. She was bred by IRL Smith. She is undefeated. Last out, she won the Long Island Matron over a Grade 1 over Tabitha, who's also in this race. That was with an 85 speed figure. She won the Exogenous Stakes in week 11 with an 89. So she's going pretty good and was sold at auction for only $12,000. So if she wins this, that's going to be it's already a big profit. But that's going to be a very big profit. In the number 6 hole, we have Beverly Hills, who is another Chris Bobby owned and bred filly. She is by Messiah out of Wichita, who was by Point of Pride. Wichita? Okay. Oh, right. Yeah, I don't do American landmarks. Is it American? Anyway. Okay. I just don't do geography, full stop. She is undefeated in 4 starts. She's coming down from Canada in week 14, where she won the North State Debutante. It's another good preparation for this race. Her career best speed figure was in the Henderson Debutante with an 89. And finally, we have Jenny. This is a really good name. Jenny is the doctor's daughter. There you go. And she is out of Timeless, who was by Just Victory, owned and bred by Rebecca Rose Hepburn. She has had 4 starts for 2 wins and 2 seconds. She won the Lexington Debutante in week 14 after breaking her maiden in week 12. So she took a little while to get there, but now that she's there, she's on career best form. So I do believe it's almost post time, so I'll hand it back to the steward.
I think it's interesting to note about Jenny that she could have easily not been in this race. She could be in the much richer juvenile fillies later on. She's bred to want to go a route of ground. But kind of like a bunch of the doctor horses, they're also good at a mile. So if the mile race looks less terrifying, why not be in the mile race? She is a grade 1 winner at a mile. She's just running for less money. But definitely a horse to watch in the future. The rest of the horses in here are basically milers. Like, this is their game, this is what they're going to do. So Jenny's the only wild card in here. Personally, a big fan of Miss Pretty. I remember seeing her before she debuted and being like, hey, that's actually really good. Someone should run that thing. And here she is, 4 for 4. Would be awesome to see Eugene Ferguson get one. And yeah, Cleo was right. Call It Magic, named after a Coldplay song. Oh yeah. So it's post time for the debutante. Oh my gosh, we only have an hour till results and we still have like a billion races to do. Who's in charge of this schedule? They're off. Horrible start for Jenny. Jenny right down to her nose out of the gate. She gets up now, but she's a few lengths behind. Goodnight Moon is going to go out, joined quickly by Tabitha and Oakland. Those three sprint away. Jenny is hustled up hard to be fourth with Call It Magic, then Miss Pretty, and Beverly Hills is the early trailer around the turn. So it's a tight group up front. Oakland has her head in front and now her half her body. Goodnight Moon settles for second, then Tabitha. Those three have sprinted away to be 5 lengths in front of Jenny. Jenny has the rest of the pack right alongside with Call It Magic 5th, Miss Pretty 6th, and then Beverly Hills is still the early trailer. Oakland now has settled down and slowed the pace down. Oakland leading by 2. Tabitha up second. And Jenny is making a move now. Jenny is into third, passing Goodnight Moon with Call It Magic, Miss Pretty, Beverly Hills not doing enough. They're in at the top of the stretch. And Oakland is 2.5 in front. Oakland, the one to catch. Jenny is trying her best. She's coming at her. Tabitha, Call It Magic, Miss Pretty, and Beverly Hills. Oakland, Jenny can't get to her. The winner today is going to be Oakland by 2.5. Jenny has to settle for second. Tabitha right there third, then Call It Magic and Miss Pretty. The official winner is Oakland. Right? Yes. Oakland is a 2-year-old black filly by Touchdown Raiders out of Best Dreams by Just Victory. She's a homebred for Chris Bobby, and she is unbeaten in 5 starts. I had to check because all of a sudden I was like, wait, I have the right Chris Bobby, the filly, right? It's not Beverly Hills. Yes, it was Oakland. Next up, we have the Futurity, the boys' version of this race. We have a field of 8, and we have 8 minutes to talk about them. This is working out swell. Here's Cleo.
So I love it when Chris Bobby wins. Anyway, so now we have the colts, and I have to remember that they're colts, otherwise I'll keep calling them all fillies because we just did that. So in the number 1 post position is Through the Air. He is that really annoys me, that spelling. It shouldn't be through as in throw. It should be, yeah, okay. Anyway, I'll get over my OCD there. Zen Zone owns this Duck Bay colt. He's by Spread the Fire out of the Liquid Gold mare Airborne. He's had 3 starts for 2 wins and a second. Last out won the Louisiana Champions Juvenile with an 81 speed figure. Next up, in post position 2, we have Dubai Touchdown. And he is my pick for this race, which means he'll probably lose. Sorry, Chani. Oh, no, not Chani. Hani? Is that right? Yeah, Hani. Sorry. Hani Rizzo. He is a bay colt by Touchdown Raiders out of the Get Me Mare Dubai Wanderer. Hani's pretty good at breeding these Touchdown Raider colts and fillies. This is an undefeated colt. He's only had the 2 starts, one of the least experienced experienced horses in this field, but he did win the Long Island Futurity, which is a Grade 1 race. He won it with an 85 speed figure and a 1 1/4 length margin. So even though he hasn't had that much experience, you cannot write him off. In the number 3 hole, we have Point of View, who was a $1.3 million trial by summer yearling purchase for Laura Ferguson. He is by YIM out of the engrossed mare Curious. He's had 4 starts for 3 wins, a second. He won the Arcadia Futurity, which is a major prep for this. He won it with an 87 speed figure and a 1 3/4 length margin. The only time he was defeated was back in week 9 in the Epic Stakes when Scissorhands beat him. But other than that, a perfect year. Next up in the number 4 hole, we have Mo Green, I think. Owned and bred by Kent Saunders. He's a grey colt by Touchdown Raiders out of the King of Kindness mare, Stop the Kindness. He has had 4 starts for 3 wins and a third. His last start was the 3rd place finish in the Kentucky Crown Juvenile. Neither of the horses that beat him are in this race. Other than that, he had a perfect year. He won the Henderson Juvenile with an 85 speed figure back in week 11. In the number 5 hole, we have the Jerry Hardy owned and bred Chrome Shadows. He is by California Chrome out of the shadowless mare Just Beware. He's had 2 starts for 1 win. So he's coming into this race off just a maiden victory, that's tough to do. You kind of want to have a stakes win if you can. Oh, sorry, yeah, he's outside my window. I have roosters. There are 3 roosters here. Sorry. So Chrome Shadows won his maiden with an 84 speed figure, but an impressive 3-length winning margin. Number 6 is the second Xander Zone entry for this race, Cartographers. This time Xander bred this horse. He is by Liam's Map out of American Greeting, who's by Engross. He's had 3 starts for 2 wins and a second. He won last out in a gain point side stakes. The only time he was in open company was in the Venezuelan Futurity, where he came second to Minion Gift. Number 7 is the Laurie Hamill owned and bred Guy Adds Gold. He is a chestnut colt by Pyrotechnic Guy out of Golden Unicorn. He's had 4 starts for 3 wins and a second. Last out, he was second to King of the Suns in the Lexington Futurity. Before that, he had an 86 speed figure win in the Ohio Futurity. So he knows how to win. And finally, we have Little Prince, who was a $2.5 million purchase for Kayasun Matsumoto. Steward bred by American Valor out of Little Gold Dust. And I did race that horse, I think. He has had 3 starts for 2 wins and a second. Last out, won the North State Futurity with an 85 speed figure. In week 10, he was beaten by Goodnight Moon, who isn't here. So that is our field for the Stewards Cup Futurity. And I think I got through that a little bit quick. We're good to go? Okay.
That was perfect. I mean, it was a little bit quick, but it's nice to not have to rush every single time. The betting pool is currently only $9,000. Hoping to see a little bit more action in the betting pools tomorrow. But these 2-year-old races, they're so tough because you get all these horses that are unbeaten or should be unbeaten, and a bunch of horses have been running in easy races all year, like down in Puerto Rico. I mean, not in the dirt mile ranks, but a lot of horses like in the sprint ranks would be running in Puerto Rico or somewhere that you can't tell how good they are until they ship in with these big records and they're facing, quote, real competition for the first time. So this one, not as much my strong suit, the dirt milers. There's only 2 Steward breds in here. I kind of forgot, Cleo, that you used to have some dirt milers up in your life. That was a long time ago. Old school. A lot of California chromes in these Stewards Cup races. He's definitely emerged in the sim as a top sire of milers, which is funny since he's so not that in real life, although he did break his maiden at 4.5 furlongs. Don't forget, if you haven't checked it out and you have a bunch of money burning a hole in your pocket, we do have an auction of real-life stallions going on right now that ends tomorrow, shortly after the results. Some nice new pedigrees in there. And it is post time for the Futurity, a field of 8 going 1 mile on the main track. They're off in the Futurity. Dubai Touchdown was 1 step slow, but the rest were away well. It's a big sprint for the lead with Mo Green and Little Prince going out quickly through the air. Guy adds gold. Chrome Shadows is rushed up 2, then Point of View, Dubai Touchdown, and Cartographers will be the early trailer of the 8 as they round that first turn. Mo Green and Little Prince, these 2 battling it out early, then through the air. Guy adds goal, Point of View. Chrome Shadows sits back 6th, and it's a gap of 3 to Cartographers, who has gone ahead of Dubai Touchdown, the trailer. So now it is Little Prince moving off away from Mo Green. Little Prince leading by 1.5 lengths. Chrome Shadows joins Mo Green up in 3rd, then Point of View through the air. Cartographers has passed Dubai Touchdown, and Guy Adds Gold has dropped back last. And now here comes Cartographers with a big run going into the stretch. Little Prince, Mo Green, and then Cartographers, who's rolling past horses. Dubai Touchdown on his heels and Chrome Shadows. It is Little Prince still, but Cartographers, Dubai Touchdown, those 2 have passed. Cartographers and Dubai Touchdown, they're in a battle out here. Cartographers on the rail and Dubai Touchdown. It is Cartographers by a neck. Dubai Touchdown 2nd. Chrome Shadows got up for 3rd over Little Prince, and then Point of View, a disappointing 5th. The official winner is Cartographers. He's a 2-year-old chestnut colt by Liam's Map out of American Greeting by Engross. He's a homebred for Xander Zone, and this is his 3rd win in 4 starts. This is also the half-brother to $4 million earner American Valor. So, take that. Me looking at the chart. Hum-de-dum-de-dum, battle on the lead. Oh, a horse moved from 6th to 1st in the blink of an eye. That will be a fun one to watch on the Race Viewer. Next up, we move back to the turf for the 1 1/8 Bun Barrette, tied for the longest race of the day. And it's a field of 11 very fancy animals in this race. So, to talk about them in the almost impossible short amount of time we have, it's Cleo.
So, we have a bunch of really nice fillies in this. I had a filly that I was aiming for this, and I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that. You all can keep all your freaks together there. Okay, so in the number 1 position, we have New Myers Roof, who is owned and bred by Tim Matthews. Shout out to Tim. I see you in the chat. She is by Golden Horn out of the July mare Coast Guard Alaska. She is undefeated in 3 starts. Last out, won a Game Point Side Stakes in week 14 with an 86 speed figure. In the number 2 hole, we have Sitcom. Brandon Minotti owns this Steward bred chestnut filly. He purchased her for $4 million at the Trial by Summer 2-year-old. She's by Calgon out of Instrumental. She's had 2 starts for a win in her maiden and a 2nd in the Moya to Love Stakes, beaten by Caro Amor, who is also in this race. In the number 3 post position is In and Out of Love. Ken Saunders purchased this horse from the Trial by Summer Yearling sale for $2.2 million. She's a chestnut filly by Cormorant Strike out of I Believe in Her, who is a What You Are filly. She is undefeated in 2 starts. She won a non-winner of 2 first up, and then she beat my horse in the Alaskan Bumbret, which I sponsored. In the number 4 post position, we have the Andrew James homebred, the Reckoners. She has had 2 starts for 2 seconds. She's by Electric Blue out of the two-toned mare Canadiana. She was second in the Dark Flight Stakes, beaten by Thirsty 10. And in her maiden, she was beaten ahead by Numaya's Roof. So she's within a length of these horses, but probably could have done with a win. In the number 5 post position, we have Ghostbusters. I really like that name. Carolyn Eaton owns and bred this black filly. She's by the Opera Ghost out of the Shaitan Mare Summer Movie. She's undefeated in 2 starts. She won the I Ain't Afraid Stakes with a 90 speed figure in week 13. So she's going to be one of the top picks here. Next up, we have the number 6 post position, Marrakesh, I assume. Owned and bred by Erin Sanderson. She's a black filly by Band of Horses out of Kadesh, who was by Shaitan. She's had 3 starts, which is one of the more experienced fillies in this race. She won 2 races and was 3rd last out in the Moya to Love Group 3 behind Caro Amor and Sitcom, but she did win the Grade 3 Cimarine Saint Stakes in week 12. The number 7 post position is the Danny Derby owned Maple, and Maple was a $1.9 million purchase from the 2-year-old the Trial by Summer Yearling auction, sorry. She is by Captain out of the oversized Heart Mare Cookie. So she's a half to some very good horses. She's had 2 starts for a win and a second. She was second in the Alaskan Bumbret, and she won her maiden with an 85. In the number 8 post position, we have the Jonathan Fisher owned and bred Majestic Golden Girl. She's by Golden Horn out of the Trafalgar Kiwi Fruit. She's had 3 starts for a win, a second and a third. Last out, she was 3rd in the Olive Branch Stakes behind Silver Starlight and Toshiko. In the number 9 position, we have Without a Fight, who is by Two-Toned, who is cool. You should go and breed him. She's out of Fond Farewell, who was a Zenduro mare. Without a Fight has had 3 starts for a win in the Wish It to Be Real Stakes last out, and a second in the Born Wild Stakes. She was unplaced in a mile race, so you can probably throw that out. Number 10 is First to 10. That's a pretty funny random post draw. Owned by Steph Lonro. She is a Steward bred filly. Em has got Steph to race this horse. She's by Joseph, who you should also breed to. Oh, that's right. Well, this horse is like everything to do with me, because her grandmother, I raced her mother, I owned and bred her grandmother, and I own her sire. So this is a Clio horse that Steph owns and runs. And Steph won her in the, guess when Laura was going to get 10,000 wins contest. So she's had 3 starts for 2 wins and a second. The second was last out in the Faith in Me Stakes behind Sol Francois. I can't pronounce that. Never been able to pronounce that. It's a breed of horse, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. But she did win the Dark Flight Stakes back in week 12, and she had an 87 speed figure in her maiden win. And finally, we have Cara Amore, who is in the number 11 slot, owned and bred by Carl Smythe, by Muto out of Love Takes Time, who was a Sydney mare. This horse is undefeated. She's had the two starts for 2 wins. She broke her maiden with a 96 speed figure, and then went on to win the Moya to Love Stakes with an 88. So I think with the 88 that she probably won't bounce. So she'll be one to beat. And over to Emily.
Oh, how good is this field? An amazing field of 11 here. They'll be going 1 1/8 miles, and it is post time for the Bunburet. I like all the horses in this one. All of them. They're off. A good break for everybody, but In and Out of Love stumbled at the start. It is Marrakesh hustled out for the lead. First to 10 joins that one, and then Majestic Golden Girl. They're not going that fast early. Sitcom sits back 4th, then Newmire's Roof. Maple, Without a Fight. Caro More. Ghostbusters sits back 9th, then The Reckoners, The Maiden, and In and Out of Love is the early trailer after the bad start. So they run into the first turn, and Marrakesh is leading by a neck. Battling with first to 10, they have a length on Majestic Golden Girl. Sitcom sits 4th with Newmire's Roof alongside. Maple is 6th, then Without a Fight. Caro More, Ghostbusters, The Reckoners, and In and Out of Love is the trailer. Into the backstretch now with 6 furlongs left to run, and Marrakesh still leads by a half with first to 10 dogging her. They've got 3 lengths on Majestic Golden Girl. Sitcom right there 4th, then Newmire's Roof. 3 lengths to the rest of them. Maple, Without a Fight. Caro More, Ghostbusters, then The Reckoners, and In and Out of Love still trails. Around the far turn now, and Marrakesh has scooted away to lead by over a length. First to 10 still tracking second, not being asked yet. Sitcom has passed a horse to be third. Then Newmire's Roof. Majestic Golden Girl back 5th. Caro More coming on with a big run. Maple, Ghostbusters, Without a Fight drops out. Then The Reckoners. Time for The Reckoners to get going. And In and Out of Love. They're at the top of the stretch, and Marrakesh still leads by a length. First to 10 is not the one coming after her, though. It's Sitcom. Here's Newmire's Roof 4th, and Caro More coming on. They all have to get to Marrakesh, who's had it all her own way. Sitcom's trying her hardest. First to 10 still there too. It's 3 across the track, and Newmire's Roof joins them. A blanket finish as Caro More comes up too. Marrakesh, Sitcom first to 10, and it is Marrakesh by a neck. Sitcom first to 10, Newmire's Roof, and Caro More. The 5 horses were separated by 1 length. The official winner is Marrakesh. She's a 2-year-old black filly by Band of Horses out of Kadesh by Shaitan. She is a homebred for Aaron Sanderson, and this is her 3rd win in 4 starts. That was such a good race. Listen to the margins. Neck, neck, half, neck. 2 1/4. 1, 1, 1 1/2, 3/4, 1. So the whole entire field of 11 was separated by 5-ish. Good luck with that next year, y'all. Next up, we have the Bunbury, a field of 7. Very nice boys here. A lot of horses ended up not going in this race because 1 1/8 miles is a 2-year-old. I mean, it's the longest they can go, or the furthest they can go, but it's still not quite far enough for what you know these horses are going to end up being next year and in the years to come. So, to talk about the 7 boys, here is someone who's doing an amazing job, Cleo.
So I want to say congratulations to Erin. That was her 5th Stewards Cup, and I remember when Tempest won her first Stewards Cup for her. She was so excited. I love it when people get excited with their Stewards Cup wins. Okay, so the Bunbury, a small but quality field. In the number 1 post position, we have Solid Blue, owned and bred by Emily Klein. He's a black colt by Yanto out of Fairweather, who was by Tattered. He's undefeated in 2 starts. Last out, was a winner of a sponsored race with an 89 speed figure, broke his maiden with a 94. So this is a pretty well prepped horse. His last start was in week 13. In the number 2 post position, we have the Nick Gilmore owned and bred Cats in the Cradle. Saying bed because that's where I want to be right now. He's Cats in the Cradle is a chestnut colt. He's by Dwight Eisenhower out of the Constant Stranger mare, Our House. He's had 2 starts for a win and a second. He broke his maiden with a 94 speed figure and then was second in the Waterloo Stakes in week 13. But the horse that beat him is not here. In the number 3 post position, we have Clairaudience. I don't know how to pronounce that either. Jolene Dana owns and breeds this Itoko colt, who is out of a tattered mare called And Torn. He has had 2 starts for a win and a second. He won his maiden last out with a 96 speed figure. So bit of a tough thing to do to come in to a Stewards Cup off a maiden win, but if anyone can do it, Jolene can. Next up, we have Culzean Castle in the number 4 post position. Jerry Hardy owns and breeds this chestnut colt. He's the second son of Dwight Eisenhower to appear in this race, out of the Australia mare Tears That Fall. He's undefeated in 2 starts. He won the Deadly Stakes, which is a major prep for this race, in week 14, with an 86 speed figure. And next up, we have Nick of Time, owned and bred by Carolyn Eaton. He's a grey colt by Quinton out of the Clockwork mare Swiss Timing. He has had 2 starts for a win and a second. He broke his maiden with a 97 speed figure, beat Clairaudience in that race, and then he was second in that sponsored race to Solid Blue. He probably wants a little bit more distance, but should run well. Next up is probably going to be one of the favourites. He is owned by Rob Canterbury. His name's Peace Be Still. He was purchased for a ridiculous $15 million from the Trial by Summer Yearling auction. I think the only steward bred in this race. Yes, the only steward bred in this race. He's by the super horse Sydney out of the 2-toned mare Peace Offering. He's undefeated in 2 starts, and he won last out in Japan with an 84 speed figure. That was in week 13, so you don't have to worry too much about the ship. And finally, we have the number 7 horse, Shaw. And Shaw is owned and bred by Nina Olsen. He's a black colt by 2-toned, and I'll put in another shameless plug. Breed to 2-toned, because next season will be probably his last full season at stud. Shaw is out of the Sea King mare Seabirds, who I think was actually originally a steward mare, and Nina later bought her and ended up with this horse, who was one of the best ones. So sometimes you can get an ex-steward mare and breed something awesome, when even Emily couldn't. So yeah, Shaw has had 3 starts for 3 wins. Last out won the On the Up and Up Stakes in Great Britain over with an 87 speed figure. So shipping over from England after going 10, 12, 14, with this particular post position, if he wins, he's a very good horse, and I think he could win. So now I think we have less than a minute to post, so I'm going to throw you back over to the steward. Are you there, Emily? Emily! I think it is your turn again. And this time I'm walking away, so I will be like 2 minutes.
Apparently she threw it to me, but that doesn't mean that I was sitting at my desk with my computer or anything. It means I was wandering in the halls. All right, it is 1 minute to post time for the Bunbury. I love this field. I think this field is all awesome horses, and while I'm not really going to sing Cats in the Cradle every single time, I'm thinking it. So, there you go. I just lost the race. All right, it is post time. Betting pool closes at $9,000 even. Field of 7 going a mile and an eighth. They're off. Coulsian Castle was one step slow, but otherwise they were away well. Cats in the Cradle goes out to the front end and will be joined by Solid Blue. Claire Audience joins them as well, so it's 3 across the track. Nick of Time settles back 4th and watches them go with Peace Be Still 5th. Then Coulsian Castle and Shore brings up the rear. They go into the first turn and Cats in the Cradle leading by a neck with Solid Blue and Claire Audience prompting the pace. A length back to Nick of Time 4th with Peace Be Still another length back 5th. Coulsian Castle is 6th, but he's only 3 lengths off the leaders with Shore bringing up the rear. Now Cats in the Cradle and Solid Blue, they've gone out to duel a length and a half in front of Claire Audience. Nick of Time still 4th, 3 lengths ahead of Peace Be Still, and they're stringing out here with Coulsian Castle back 6th, 5 lengths behind Peace Be Still. Shore alongside, but they are definitely further apart with 10 lengths front to back. Now it is Nick of Time who's made up a big amount of ground to take over from Cats in the Cradle. Nick of Time, Cats in the Cradle, and Solid Blue, those 3 still in front of Claire Audience. Peace Be Still is getting asked to run. Coulsian Castle not doing enough, and then Shore. If the closers want to come, the time is now because they're at the top of the stretch, and Nick of Time and Cats in the Cradle have run off with Solid Blue. Claire Audience is nowhere now, and Peace Be Still. Nick of Time, he has exploded in the lane. Nick of Time is now 3 in front of Solid Blue. Coulsian Castle up 3rd, and Cats in the Cradle can do no better than 4th today. But Nick of Time in a parade, he's 3.5 in front of the wire. Solid Blue and Coulsian Castle 2nd and 3rd, and then Cats in the Cradle was 4th. The official winner is Nick of Time. He's a 2-year-old gray colt by Quentin out of Swiss Timing by Clockwork. He is a homebred for Carolyn Eaton, and this is his 2nd win in 3 starts. I think this race was full of good horses. Nick of Time, Cats in the Cradle, Solid Blue, Peace Be Still, Coulsian Castle, all grade 1 winners next year. And now I'm going to get a grumpy text from Nina that says, you didn't say Shore was going to be a grade 1 winner next year. That's just because my eyes hadn't gotten that far down the page yet. Next up, we have the Juvenile Fillies, the second to last race of the day. This field, as per every year, is stacked. A very, very good field top to bottom. Talk about future grade 1 winners. So to talk about this field of, of 11 horses, it is Cleo.
And I am back. I don't even know who won the last race because I had to go and get a drink because it's like 110 degrees here. Oh, good for you, Carolyn. Well done. Right, so I better start talking because there are 11 horses and there are not 11 minutes. In the number 1 hole is Napa Valley. Napa or Napa? Napa Valley. She's a chestnut filly by Doctor out of the Awake As I Am at Corona. And Corona has a few good foals, so this is a well-bred filly. She is undefeated in 2 starts. Last out, she won the Spirituality Stakes with an 86 speed figure, leading all the way. So She's led all the way in both her starts, so you would think that the number 1 draw won't bother her too much. In the number 2 post position, we have Renette, and she is owned and bred by Susie Rydell. She's by the really nice sire, Easy on the Eyes, out of the other mare, Rose. So Doctor Who theme. She's also undefeated in 2 starts, and she also likes to lead all the way. She won the Grade 1 Trap Stakes with an 87 speed figure last out in week 14, and that was coming off a 99 speed figure in her maiden outing in week 12. So another serious filly who is also really well bred. She's like half to like 4 millionaires or something ridiculous. Anyway. And I knew that without even looking. Princess Rusty is a roan filly owned and bred by Ronnie D. She is by the super sire Harry Potter, who's now pensioned, out of the stay inside mare Justine O'Neill. She's undefeated in 3 starts. She had a career best 90 speed figure in the Avow Stakes last out, which is the grade 3 race. She's done nothing wrong so far, so the only question for me would be with that pedigree whether she wants longer and won't be quite fast enough to meet up with the Doctor and Messiah sort of horses that are in this race. Next up, a Jack Meyer homebred. Can he make it to Steward's Cup on one day? We'll see. So he's got a black filly called River of Ghosts. By Messiah out of the Harry Potter mare Hallowed Halls. So yet another crazy bred horse. She's a half to Addicted to Chaos, who's been a very handy router himself. River of Ghosts is undefeated in 2 starts. She won with a 92 speed figure last out in New York in the Akibi Senshi Stakes. In the number 5 post position, we have Chasing Joy, which is a really nice name for a filly. Owned and bred by Izzy Rafferty. She is by Messiah out of the Skipping Stone mare Ricochets. She's undefeated in 2 starts. She broke her maiden with a 96 speed figure and then come out and won the Mercy Stakes in California with an 88. She's one of the few fillies in this field who seems to like to get further back in her races. In the number 6 post position, we have Lady So Divine. Aaron Sanderson owns and breeds this filly. She is by URIM out of the highly regarded mare High Dreams. She's undefeated in 2 starts. She's a half to Through the Ghost, who I think like to win the short races. She won the Untappable and the juvenile is 9 furlongs. Is that right? So Through the Ghost won over a distance similar to this. So Lady So Divine won the Untappable Stakes, which is a grade 3 in Kentucky, with a 91 speed figure after breaking her maiden with a 90 speed figure in week 10. So she's had a very good preparation. Number 7 is Heartbeat. Brandon McNulty owns this horse. He paid $1.35 million for her. She's by Linguistics, who is turning into a very good sire, out of the Windseeker mare Goodbye. She's had 2 starts for a win in her maiden in week 10 and a third in the Okibi Senshi Stakes in week 13, beaten by River of Ghosts and some other girl. River of Ghosts is, of course, here today. In the number 8 spot, we have the obligatory crazy Art Vandelay horse. She's a black filly called Midnight Thunder. She's by Oncoming Storm out of The Person You Are, who is a Maelstrom mare. She is undefeated in 3 starts. Last out, she won the Such Great Heights Stakes with an 88 speed figure in week 14. In week 12, she won the 5 Fading Light Stakes with a 90, and in week 10, she won her maiden with an 86. So that's this will be her 4th race in 8 weeks. Number 9 is All That I Dreamed. I own and breed this horse. She's by Fargo out of Mike Eaton's Vortex filly called All I Can Be. She's undefeated in 2 starts, but I think she's a bit in over her head this week. In the number 10 position, we have Keep Me Close, owned by Izzy Rafferty, who paid $7 million for her in the Trial by Summer yearling auctions. She's a bay filly by Keep Your Promise out of the Maelstrom mare called Nursery. She's undefeated in 2 starts. She won the Sky Flyer last out with a 90 speed figure, and she broke her maiden in a week 10 with an 87. Definitely looking for longer. And finally, we have Danny Derby's Some Other Girl. He paid $4.3 million for this horse at the Trial by Summer yearling auction. She is by R. Lyons Real out of the Night Fury mare Lightning and Fire. She's had 2 starts for a win with an 85 in her maiden and a second in the Akibi Senshi behind River of Ghosts in week 13 with an 89 speed figure. And I think it's post time.
Thank you, Cleo. And I'm just going to give one awkward, totally unprofessional shout out to my mom who's listening for the first time tonight. Hi, Mom. It's me, your daughter, calling a fake horse race on the fly, so I'll surely mess this one up. All right, a field of 11 either Grade 1 winners or future Grade 1 winners, because all of these fillies are standouts here in this $2 million race going a mile and a 16th on the main track. A dry track today in Texas at Single Star Park. It is the Juvenile Fillies, and it is post time. Betting pool closes at $27,400. They're off, and it was an absolutely beautiful start in the Juvenile Fillies. Raynette has speed, joined by Midnight Thunder, and those two kick away early. Napa Valley, the other well-bred horse there too. Keep Me Close and River of Ghosts, then All That I Dreamed. Lady So Divine is under a firm hold. Heartbeat, Some Other Girl, Chasing Joy is 10th early, and then Princess Rusty is the trailer. So it is Raynette and Midnight Thunder, those two dueling early and joined by Napa Valley on the outside. Keep Me Close there 4th, then River of Ghosts, All That I Dreamed, and Lady So Divine. Heartbeat sits 8th alongside Some Other Girl, and Chasing Joy has 3 lengths on Princess Rusty. They go up the backstretch with 6 furlongs left to run, and it is still an epic duel up front with 3 horses, Raynette, Midnight Thunder, and Napa Valley. They're setting a quick pace out here with River of Ghosts a length back 4th. Keep Me Close has lost a spot and is now 5th, then All That I Dreamed, Lady So Divine, Heartbeat, Some Other Girl, Chasing Joy, and 5 lengths to Princess Rusty. Half a mile left to go now, and there is no change in order. Raynette, Midnight Thunder, and Napa Valley, they have a length and a half. Here comes Lady So Divine up into 4th. River of Ghosts, Heartbeat, Chasing Joy is passing horses now, and Keep Me Close, the 2 stablemates together. Then All That I Dreamed, not much from Some Other Girl yet. They're at the top of the lane, and it is Raynette, Midnight Thunder, and Napa Valley. Lady So Divine is going to be the first to try to crack them. Raynette fights back, and here comes Chasing Joy on the outside, going very wide. Chasing Joy, a catapult down the middle of the track. Raynette, Lady So Divine, Midnight Thunder, but it is Chasing Joy sweeping past all of them, and she'll nail them on the line. Chasing Joy by a neck. Raynette 2nd, Lady So Divine 3rd, then Midnight Thunder, Napa Valley, Heartbeat, and River of Ghosts. The official winner is Chasing Joy. She's a 2-year-old Dark Bay filly by Messiah out of Ricochets by Skipping Stone. She is a homebred for Izzy Rafferty, and she is unbeaten in 3 starts. This is Izzy Rafferty's second Thoroughbred Stewards Cup win. So congrats to you, Izzy Rafferty. Next up, we have the final one of the evening, the Stewards Cup Juvenile. 2-year-old boys going a mile and 16th for $2 million. But not just that, they're also vying for the title of Derby favorite. To talk about them, here is Cleo.
So the number one post position is Circle of Life. And I'm so tempted to sing that song, but I don't want to make all of your ears bleed. So I might leave that up to Emily if he wins. He is Danny Derby owned and bred chestnut colt by Messiah out of the Maelstrom mare Wish Upon a Star. He is undefeated in 2 starts. He became the talk of the town when he broke his maiden with 100 SF and 4-length victory. So we were all like, nothing's going to beat this horse. And then he came out 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks later, and won the Brakebill Stakes, which is Group 2. He won that with an 88 speed figure by a 3-length margin. He seems to like to be up the front, but you never know until you run them in these big fields. He is a half to 2 millionaires and 1 half millionaire, so it's a very good family. In the number 2 post position is Nini Hunter's Judge of Time. He is a grey colt by Doctor out of the Flames mare Harmony, and he has a really cute headshot. He is undefeated in 3 starts. Last out, he won the Majesty Stakes with a 90 speed figure. Before that, in week 12, he won the Awake As I Am Stakes with a 91, so he's never run less than a 90 in his career. Nini paid $4.5 million for him. I think he might earn that back. Number 3 is Direwolf. Rebecca Rose Hepburn owns and bred this colt. He's chestnut by Mint out of the Maelstrom mare Sunrising. He's had 2 starts for a win and a second. He won his maiden with a 96, and he came second in the Cape Stakes by head to Album of the Year in week 13. So he deserves to be here, that is for sure. Next up, we have a horse from one of the nicest menons in John Exet. He's a black colt called Saturday Silence. He's by Espoir City out of the Zulu dancer mare Eve. He's had just the 1 start. He broke his maiden in week 12 with an 89 speed figure. As I've said all day, it's hard for a horse to come into a race like this just off a maiden win. But John Exet's done crazier things in his sim career. The number 5 horse is the very well-liked Scissorhands. Todd Lucas purchased this horse for a very cheap $1.5 million. He's by the Pumpkin King out of the Firefly mare River Tam. So you would think that he would have enough speed to be able to win a race like this. He is undefeated in 4 starts. He had a career best 91 speed figure last out in the With Kind Regards Grade 3. And he also won the Don't Hesitate back in week 11. And here comes the obligatory Art Vanderlei Freakish Dirt Router. He is a black colt called Album of the Year. He's by Oncoming Storm out of Swifty, who herself was a juvenile Stewards Cup winner, if I'm recalling correctly. Yes, she won the juvenile fillies. Album of the Year is undefeated in 2 starts. He won the Cape Stakes last out by head over Direwolf with a 91 speed figure, and he broke his maiden with a 93. He likes to get somewhere in the middle of the pack and motor home. Number 7 is the Scott Island horse Bellamy. And Scott purchased Bellamy from the Trial by Summer yearling auctions for $2.8 million. He is by URIM out of the Maelstrom mare My Madness. And as usual with Scott, he's bought a horse that wants to probably be 4 years old, but will hopefully be good for him as a 3-year-old. And we'll see how he does here as a 2-year-old today. He is undefeated in 2 starts. He won the Persevere Stakes with an 89 last out by head over Agent Shields, who's a very decent horse. And he broke his maiden with a 90 speed figure. And number 8 is Steelheart, owned by Michael Looker, purchased for nearly $11 million at the Trial by Summer Yearling auction. He is by Man of Mystery out of one of my favourite mares, Chocolate, who I raced. He is 2 for 2. He won the Bubbly Stakes last out with a 91. And finally, we have Keith Madlow's The Stone. He was purchased for $2 million from the Trial by Summer Yearling auction. He's by up-and-coming sire Together out of the Flames mare Dauntless. He's had 2 starts for a win and a third. He was third in his maiden before winning in his last start with a 91 speed figure. And I think it's post time. The final race of the day.
Big round of applause to Cleopatra. It is amazing to have her back and emceeing, and I'm very happy, and I hope that she is able to do more broadcasts in the future. It is not quite post time, but you know what? We're just going to make it be post time because I think we all just want to be done with this. Or maybe that's just me. For the juvenile, and as Dan said, although the horse of this is basically crowned the early Derby favorite, no horse has actually gone on from winning this to win the Derby in 15 years. So, or 14, and this will be 15th. I don't know. Math is hard. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the horse that wins this race is now the automatic toss? Or is it like a challenge? You win this race and now you're going to freaking go try and win the Derby and just prove me and Dan wrong. Yeah. So, that's a question. I guess we'll find out. This is a great field. It's not as intensive as it can sometimes be. A lot of horses are running in other stakes races tomorrow. You definitely have a mix in here of horses that want to go a mile and a 16th, a mile and an 8th, and horses that really want a mile and a quarter. Some years we get a bunch of speed horses that just cannot go 10 furlongs at all, and that's all the field is comprised of. They end up going really fast and then doing nothing on the Triple Crown Trail. This year we have a definite, really nice mix of all different types, so this should be a very fun race. It is post time now. The betting pool is a ridiculous, and I should have withheld calling the race until you bet more, $12,500. Field of 9, set to go. If I can find where I put the chart. Hey, found it. They're off in the $2 million juvenile, and it was a perfect start. Direwolf is the one who goes out to the lead. Direwolf hustled along early. Judge of Time is rushed up, and then Scissor Hands, and those three have the most speed, with Circle of Life taking back fourth on the rail. Album of the Year is up fifth, then Steelheart, Saturday Silence, The Stone, and Bellamy is the early trailer. So they round that first turn, and Direwolf is your leader by a neck. Scissor Hands is up second, passing that one with Judge of Time third. They have 2 or 3 lengths on Album of the Year fourth, alongside Circle of Life. Those two are in their own race, 3.5 lengths in front of Steelheart. Then comes Saturday Silence, 3 back to The Stone, and another 2 back to Bellamy. They cruise down the backstretch now, and there's no change in order. It is Direwolf and Scissor Hands, then Judge of Time 3 wide, Album of the Year and Circle of Life in their own race, 4th and 5th. Then comes Steelheart, Saturday Silence starts his run, The Stone, and Bellamy. Rounding the far turn now, Direwolf leads by a length. Judge of Time has passed Scissorhands and is sitting second. Here comes Circle of Life, the first to make a move. Album of the Year and Saturday Silence is closing down. Steelheart gets to move too. They're coming to the top of the stretch now. Direwolf and Judge of Time. Circle of Life takes over though. Circle of Life. Direwolf battles back. And here comes Saturday Silence between horses. Judge of Time and Scissorhands. It is Circle of Life. Saturday Silence, Direwolf, Circle of Life, and Saturday Silence. Those two kick on. Circle of Life, Saturday Silence on the inside, and it is a photo finish in the juvenile. Between Circle of Life and Saturday Silence, Direwolf and Album of the Year were right together for third, then Judge of Time, Scissorhands, and the Stone. The results of the photo are in. It went to Saturday Silence in a huge upset in the juvenile. Saturday Silence by a nose over Circle of Life. And then we had another photo because it is a dead heat for third. A dead heat between Direwolf and Album of the Year. Judge of Time was fifth, and then Scissorhands. The official winner is Saturday Silence. He's a 2-year-old black colt by a Spore City, of all random horses in the sim, out of Eve by Zulu Dancer. He is a homebred for John Exet, and now he is 2 for 2. True story, the new being able to call the results chart thing that I have, that's brand new, can't handle a dead heat, so it's completely blank anywhere I was supposed to say Album of the Year, and I couldn't figure out until deep stretch who the heck that was. So sorry, Art Fandolay, that's why I didn't call your horse's name. It's just blank everywhere. Whoops. So, do we think Saturday Silence will go on next year, or will Circle of Life be the one to get him? What about these horses that want to go further, like Judge of Time, Direwolf? It's going to be a good derby. Don't forget to join us tomorrow. The first race starts at... because I don't actually know. Hold on, I'm looking. That's the derby. That's not useful. Steward's Cup. First race tomorrow is at 5:30 Pacific. Well, that's when we start talking. How is that possible that we have more races tomorrow, but we start only 10 minutes earlier? Anyway, join us. It'll be fun. Thanks again to Cleo. Thanks everybody for being here, and I hope you have a happy night.